Hello, Niamh Fitzpatrick here. I'm the author of Tell Me the Truth About Loss, and I'm here today to answer some Ask an Author questions for Dublin Book Festival. So the first question I received is, would you term the loss that so many of us have experienced around COVID-19 for things like cancelled plans and cancelled life events a kind of grief? And my answer to that is yes, definitely. So grief isn't just about death. With COVID-19, we have known so many deaths. But grief is also about loss. It's about change. And if you think of what this pandemic has done, it has brought so much change into our lives, so much loss into our lives. So we have a loss of choice, a loss of freedom, a loss of connection, a loss of rituals and rites of passage. There's been loss of business, loss of income, and really a loss of the life we had. And in some ways, a loss of innocence, maybe perhaps, because this is probably the worst time in living memory that we're living through. And there's a loss of innocence and maybe a loss of peace of mind around that. So it's really important to acknowledge that loss and pain and to see it as that, and to see a lot of what we're feeling now as grief. And grief isn't only about sadness, it's about anger and rage and resentment and loneliness and all sorts of things besides sadness. So it's to understand really that you may not have had somebody die in your life at this time, but you might have had hopes die. You might have had the life that you had has died and a new one is in its place. So if you're feeling any feelings around anger and sorrow and resentment and you're not feeling like yourself, it's highly possible that what you're experiencing is grief. The second question then is, how do we deal with this type of grief that is a loss of an experience or a thing rather than a loss of a person? So the first thing is to acknowledge that loss. You must actually see it as that and say to yourself, I realise that the life I had is gone. It's a new life I have now, and that what I'm probably feeling is grief around that. And then you've got to allow yourself to feel those feelings. And this is the tough bit, because we often don't want to feel those feelings because they're painful. So even the ugly feelings, even the rage, even the resentment, even the jealousy, all of those things, I need you to feel them. Allow yourself to feel those feelings, and lean into them and find ways to express them. So for some people, you will talk them out. For others, you might write them out. Some people might run them out, walk them out. It doesn't matter. Sing them out. It doesn't matter. It's finding the way to express the feelings that you feel and understanding that they're normal, they're natural, they're an understandable response to loss. You're not coping, you're not losing your mind, you're not doing it wrong, you're not weak or vulnerable. You're a human being who has experienced loss, and those feelings of grief are entirely normal around that. The next thing I want you to do after you've understood your feelings and expressed your feelings is I want you to mind yourself a little bit more in this time of loss. So things like paying extra attention to the wellness pillars in your life. So sleep and rest, nutrition, hydration, exercise, fresh air, and connection. Paying attention to those things just a little bit more than you might normally do. So really saying to yourself, I understand that I'm experiencing loss and some parts of my life aren't going the way I need and want them to go during this pandemic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mind myself a little bit more at this time. So sleep and rest, nutrition, hydration, exercise, fresh air, and connection. Just pay a little bit more attention to those things. And the next thing you can do to help yourself in this time of loss is take micro breaks from it all, from the bigness of this pandemic. So these are little things that might give you 15 minutes of a pocket of joy, just something small. It's not going to make coronavirus go away. It's not going to make your worries go away. It's not going to bring back the event in your life that you've lost. But what it will do is just stop coronavirus being center stage in your head just for a short period of time. And it gives you a little bit of a respite from that loss. So for some people, that would be a walk or a run or a bath. For someone else, it might be a phone call or a video call with a loved one. Another person might find that it's a book, a movie, or some music. And for someone else, it might be curled up on the couch with a pet or going for a walk with a pet. So just think about small little things, micro things that will give you a little bit of a break from this sense of loss that you're quite rightly experiencing now. And my next question is, did you find the experience of writing your book healing or therapeutic in any way? My answer to that is most definitely, for sure. It was a way to express the pain. We don't need to pathologize grief, and for some people, for many people, they will grieve and they will never need some professional support. For me, I did, and I went to see a psychologist who helped me around the trauma of loss, and that was hugely beneficial to me. But writing was another space, I suppose, to let the feelings out. It was another place to let those feelings out. And it helped me to process and really understand those feelings even more. And I think actually, if I was a musician, this book, Tell Me the Truth About Loss, would be an album. I had so many thoughts and feelings in my head, and I just needed to get them out. And this book is the result of getting them out. I probably also needed to maybe help others along the way, because I was learning so much about loss and learning so much about grief and about life and about love and about myself as I have gone along in these first 3 years after Dara's death. And it felt wrong perhaps not to pass those learnings on. I think grief can be a really lonely experience, and in my writing, if I'm able to have people understand that how they feel is normal and that they're not doing it wrong, it can help reduce a bit of that loneliness and maybe bring comfort and solace to some people. So I think it really helped me express my feelings, but it helped bring meaning to my life after loss, and that has been really important. And I would say to anybody that if you have any inkling at all of writing and you are experiencing a loss, just start. I started this book with 3 words in the notes section of my phone. That's how it started. And those 3 words, to express the pain on the day Dara died, morphed into sentences and paragraphs and pages and chapters, and it eventually became a book. So if you were somebody who likes books, as I do, and loves books, and if your expression of your pain is even at the moment feeling like it might be a writing thing, then I would highly recommend it if that's how you're so inclined.